Imagine being an orphan in a foreign land, hiding your true identity just to survive. Then, imagine being thrust into a golden cage palace where beauty is a requirement, but speaking your mind is a death sentence. This was the world of Esther. She didn't choose to be a queen, and she certainly didn't choose to have the lives of an entire nation resting on her shoulders. But history doesn't always call the prepared. Sometimes it calls the hidden. Esther's journey began in the shadows of the Persian Empire. To the world, she was Hadassah, a Jewish orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. But in the palace of King Xerxes, she was Esther, a woman of unmatched grace who wore a crown but carried a secret that could get her killed. The crisis arrived not with a shout, but with a signature. A high-ranking official named Haman, fueled by pride and a bitter grudge, manipulated the king into signing a decree. The order was simple and chilling. On a single day, every Jewish person in the empire, men, women, and children, was to be destroyed. The palace walls that protected Esther now became her prison. She was the only one with the king's ear, but Persian law was absolute. To approach the king without being summoned was an automatic death sentence, unless he lowered his golden scepter to spare you. For 30 days, the king had not called for her. To walk into that inner court was to walk toward an executioner. This is where Esther faced her internal breaking point. She sent word to Mordecai, explaining the danger, but his response stripped away her last bit of cover. He told her, "Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" The weight of those words changed everything. Esther stopped seeing herself as a victim of circumstance and started seeing herself as a weapon of providence. The internal conflict didn't vanish. The fear was still there, but her purpose became louder than her panic. She made a decision that has echoed through the centuries. She called for a 3-day fast, uniting her people in spirit. Then she uttered the words that define ultimate courage. "I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." When the 3rd day came, Esther dressed in her royal robes. Every step toward the throne room was a gamble. She wasn't just risking her crown. She was risking her life for a people she had been told to hide. As she stood in the entrance of the inner court, the air must have been heavy with silence. The king looked up. In that second, the fate of a nation hung in the balance. Then the scepter moved. He reached out, offering her grace instead of a grave. Esther's bravery didn't stop there. She used her wit and her position to expose Haman's treachery, turning the trap back on the one who said it. She traded her silence for a voice, and her fear for a legacy. Esther reminds us that being afraid doesn't mean you lack faith. It means you have something worth fighting for. You might feel like an orphan in a palace or an outsider in your own life, but for such a time as this moment is never an accident. Like the orphan queen, you have a choice. You can stay silent and hope to survive, or you can speak up and change history.